Welcome, tennis fans, to a very special, highly detailed Wimbledon preview edition of our channel. We are standing on the precipice of the most prestigious tournament in all of tennis, the championships at the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club. The pristine grass courts are ready, the crisp white outfits are prepared, and the sporting world is about to turn its collective eyes to London for 2 weeks of unparalleled drama, tradition, and world-class athleticism. Today, we are shining a massive spotlight on a first-round encounter that has captured the imagination of fans across the globe, a match that represents a fascinating clash of styles, generations, and geographical tennis frontiers. It is a live analysis and deep dive into the upcoming showdown between the Philippines' rising superstar, 21-year-old Alex Eala, and the seasoned, resilient Mexican veteran, 28-year-old Renata Zarazua. This is not just another first-round match on an outside court. This is a historic moment. For the very first time in her young but already storied career, Alex Eala enters a Grand Slam main draw as a seeded player, taking the 29th seed in this year's Wimbledon after an absolutely sensational grass court swing that saw her crack the WTA Top 30. Across the net stands Renata Zarazua, a fiercely competitive world number 76, a player who knows exactly what it takes to grind out victories, and who actually holds a head-to-head victory over Eala from a hard-court battle back in 2024. To add a compelling layer of emotional intrigue, these two are former doubles partners, having shared the same side of the court at the 2025 French Open. They know each other's tendencies, they know each other's weaknesses, and they are both staring down a potential second-round blockbuster against none other than the legendary Serena Williams. We have a lot to unpack here. In this deep dive, we are going to dissect the tactical nuances, the physiological demands, the historical context, and the psychological warfare of this incredibly compelling matchup. Settle in, because we are going to break down every single angle of this fascinating first-round contest before making our final match prediction. Let's begin by examining the meteoric rise and current form of Alexandra Eala. If you've been following women's tennis closely over the last few years, you know that Eala has been touted as a generational talent for her home country of the Philippines. Coming from a nation where basketball and boxing traditionally dominate the sporting landscape, Eala's emergence on the global tennis stage has been nothing short of a cultural phenomenon. She developed her game at the prestigious Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain, and you can see the distinct hallmarks of that rigorous Spanish training in her game. She possesses an incredibly heavy left-handed forehand, a relentless work ethic, and a tactical maturity that completely belies her 21 years of age. But what has truly separated Eala this season, and particularly this summer, is her seamless adaptation to grass. Historically, players who grow up honing their craft on red clay or slow hard courts can find the transition to the low-bouncing, lightning-fast lawns of Europe incredibly jarring. Eala, however, has embraced the surface with an aggressive mindset that has caught the rest of the tour off guard. Just look at her preparation. Over the last month, Eala arrives at SW19 riding a massive wave of confidence. She recently captured her second career title at the Birmingham Open, navigating a tricky field and proving that her penetrating ground strokes can skid beautifully through the grass, rushing her opponents and forcing short balls. But perhaps even more impressively, she followed that up with a spectacular run to the semifinals of the Berlin Tennis Open. In Berlin, she did not just beat good players, she dismantled elite, top-tier competition. Eala recorded back-to-back victories against top 10 stalwarts Elena Rybakina and Alina Svitolina, beating Rybakina on grass, a former Wimbledon champion known for having one of the most lethal serves in the history of the women's game, is a statement that reverberates through the locker room. It shows that Eala's return game is incredibly sharp, her reflexes are dialed in, and she possesses the sheer power to go toe-to-toe with the biggest hitters on the WTA Tour. This surge in form catapulted her to world number 30, securing her that vital 29th seed. Being seeded at a major is a monumental milestone. It ensures that she avoids the top 32 ranked players in the opening 2 rounds, theoretically providing a smoother runway to navigate the early jitters of a major tournament. We also have to talk about her recent doubles partnership with absolute tennis royalty. At the Bad Homburg Open just prior to Wimbledon, Eala teamed up with arguably the greatest grass court player of her generation, Venus Williams. They reached the semifinals together. Imagine the invaluable knowledge, the court craft, and the tactical wisdom that Venus imparted to Eala during those matches. Learning the nuances of net play, court positioning, and deal with the unique pressures of grass court tennis from a 5-time Wimbledon singles champion is an education money simply cannot buy. Eala did suffer a first-round singles exit in Bad Homburg to Elise Mertens, losing 6-3, 6-3. But in the grand scheme of things, that might have been a blessing in disguise. It allowed her to preserve her physical energy, reset mentally, and travel to London early to acclimatize to the specific conditions of the All-England Club. Last year, in her Wimbledon main draw debut, Eala stepped onto center court and pushed the formidable Barbara Krejcikova to 3 grueling sets before ultimately falling. She is no longer a wide-eyed debutante just happy to be there. She returns this year with pedigree, with expectations, and with the very real belief that she can make a deep run into the second week. On the other side of the net, we have a player who brings an entirely different, but equally dangerous skill set to the court. Renata Zarazua is a 28-year-old warrior from Mexico, currently ranked 76 in the world, having peaked at number 51 in late 2024. Zarazua's story is one of sheer perseverance and grit. Unlike the young prodigies who are earmarked for greatness in their early teens, Zarazua has had to fight tooth and nail through the ITF circuits, the challenger events, and the grueling qualifying draws just to establish herself on the main WTA tour. She holds 3 WTA 125 titles, including the Montevideo Open, the Charleston 125, and the Austin Challenger, proving that she knows how to navigate the latter stages of tournaments and close out finals. Zarazua is a quintessential counterpuncher, a player whose foundational strategy relies on exceptional court coverage, supreme fitness, and tactical intelligence. She makes you play one extra ball. She absorbs pace beautifully and uses her opponent's power against them. While she might not possess the overwhelming raw firepower of Eala, Zarazua brings a veteran's guile. She understands how to construct points, how to change the rhythm, and how to exploit tiny cracks in her opponent's mental armor. We saw this recently at the Bad Homburg Open, where she successfully fought her way through the demanding qualifying rounds just to reach the main draw, before eventually bowing out to Wang Xinyu in a round of 32. That qualifying run indicates that she has valuable match practice on the grass this season. She has felt the low bounce. She has adjusted her footwork to the slippery surface, and she is battle-hardened coming into London. In Grand Slam play, Zarazua reached the second round of Wimbledon in 2025, showing she can win on this surface. She thrashed Yanina Wickmayer 6-love, 6-3 in that opening round before falling to Amanda Anisimova. She knows what the pressure of the All-England Club feels like, and she will not be intimidated by the big stage or the hype surrounding her younger opponent. When we look at the head-to-head history between these two, it presents a very fascinating dynamic. They have played exactly once in professional singles competition. That encounter took place in August of 2024 at a W100 event in Cary, North Carolina, played on outdoor hard courts. In that match, Eala came out firing, taking the first set 6-3, but Zarazua showcased exactly why she is such a difficult opponent to put away. She dug her heels in, adjusted her court position, and slowly began to unravel Eala's aggressive baseline game. By extending the rallies, looping the ball high, and forcing the young Filipina to generate all her own pace, Zarazua turned the tide, eventually winning the match 3-6, 6-4, 6-3. That match is a critical data point. It proves that Zarazua has the defensive capabilities to withstand Eala's initial barrage and the mental fortitude to orchestrate a comeback. It also means that Zarazua holds a psychological edge. When they step onto the court on Tuesday, the Mexican knows she has figured out the puzzle before. She knows she can physically outlast Eala if it turns into a grueling war of attrition. However, we must strictly contextualize that previous meeting. That match was on a high-bouncing American hard court, a surface that is vastly different from the slick, skidding lawns of Wimbledon. Grass fundamentally alters the geometry and the timing of a tennis match. The low bounce heavily favors the aggressive player, who looks to dictate play early in the rally. The ball skids through the court, meaning defensive players have significantly less time to react and retrieve. This surface undeniably amplifies Eala's weapons. Eala's left-handed serve, especially the slider out wide on the ad court, will be a potent weapon that can pull Zarazua completely off the court, opening up the entire line for a devastating first strike forehand. On grass, it is incredibly difficult to defend from behind the baseline, which is precisely where Zarazua prefers to operate. To win this match, Zarazua will have to step out of her comfort zone. She cannot afford to simply roll the ball back and hope for unforced errors. She will need to flatten out her ground strokes, utilize her slice backhand to keep the ball as low as possible, and perhaps even look to move forward to the net to finish points on her own terms. Adding a wonderfully complex layer to this matchup is the fact that Eala and Zarazua are not strangers to one another's games. In fact, they have played on the same side of the net. The duo teamed up to play doubles at the 2025 French Open, reaching the second round together before falling to the formidable pairing of Olga Danilovic and Anastasia Potapova. Playing doubles with someone provides an intimate understanding of their mechanics, their emotional triggers, and their tactical preferences. Eala knows exactly how Zarazua reacts under pressure, just as Zarazua has had a front row seat to the sheer velocity of Eala's ground strokes. This familiarity means there will be no secrets out there. It will come down to execution. Can Eala maintain her aggressive intent without bleeding unforced errors? Can Zarazua absorb the heavy blows and frustrate the 21-year-old into overplaying? We also have to heavily consider the external narrative surrounding this match, specifically what awaits the winner. The draw for the Wimbledon Championships has thrown up a staggering storyline. The winner of this clash between Eala and Zarazua will face either rising Australian talent Maya Joint or the undisputed queen of tennis herself, Serena Williams. Serena, making a highly publicized comeback with a wild card entry, looms massive over this section of the draw. The prospect of playing Serena Williams on the manicured lawns of Wimbledon in the second round is the kind of opportunity that players dream about their entire lives. It is a career-defining moment, but it also introduces a massive psychological burden. It is incredibly easy for a player to look past their first-round opponent when the shadow of Serena Williams is hovering in the second round. Eala and Zarazua both have to demonstrate elite compartmentalization. They must hyper-focus on the ball in front of them and completely block out the media noise and the tantalizing prospect of a center court showdown with a 23-time Grand Slam champion. If either player steps onto court on Tuesday, already thinking about Thursday, they will lose. Let's break down the specific tactical keys to victory for both women. For Alex Eala, the mandate is clear: first strike tennis. She must serve at a high percentage, particularly getting her first serve inconsistently to avoid allowing Zarazua to attack a weaker second serve. Eala needs to use her heavy, spin-loaded forehand to pin Zarazua into the backhand corner, and when the short ball comes, Eala cannot hesitate. She has to step inside the baseline and drive the ball into the open court, or confidently follow her approach shots to the net. Utilizing the volleying skills she sharpened alongside Venus Williams in Germany, Eala must dictate the terms of engagement. If the average rally length exceeds 6 or 7 shots, the match begins to favor the Mexican. Eala also needs to manage her emotions. Being seeded for the first time brings pressure. She is no longer the underdog. She is expected to win this match. How she handles those internal expectations in the opening 4 games will be highly indicative of how the match will unfold. For Renata Zarazua, survival depends on disruption. She cannot allow Eala to find a comfortable rhythm. Zarazua must utilize her slice backhand extensively. A well-executed slice on grass stays ankle-high, forcing the opponent to bend their knees and hit up on the ball, which often leads to errors or weak replies. Zarazua must mix the pace, loop the ball occasionally to throw off Eala's timing, and use the drop shot to pull the Filipina out of her baseline comfort zone. Zarazua's serve is not a weapon that will generate free points, so she needs extremely high placement accuracy. She has to serve into the body to cramp Eala on the return, preventing the 21-year-old from taking massive aggressive cuts at the ball. Mentally, Zarazua needs to rely on her grit. She needs to make the match as physical and grueling as possible. If she can drag Eala into deep, exhausting rallies and perhaps steal a tight first set, the pressure on the seeded player will multiply exponentially. Zarazua knows how to win ugly and on grass. Sometimes winning ugly is the only way to advance. When analyzing the overall form, the surface dynamics, and the trajectory of their respective careers, we arrive at the match prediction. While Renata Zarazua is a brilliant competitor with a proven ability to grind down powerful players, the surface at Wimbledon dramatically tips the scales. Grass heavily rewards proactive, offensive tennis. Eala is currently playing the best grass court tennis of her life. Her recent victories over Rybakina and Svitolina demonstrate that she is not just capable of hitting through elite defenders, but that she can do it consistently against the very best in the world. Eala's left-handed game is naturally advantageous on this surface, and the confidence she has gained from winning a title in Birmingham and playing deep into tournaments this summer will be an overwhelming asset. While Zarazua's previous victory over Eala will give her belief, the 21-year-old Filipina has evolved significantly since that August 2024 encounter. She is faster, stronger, and tactically more astute. Expect Zarazua to make the match competitive, especially in the opening set as Eala battles the inevitable nerves of playing her first match as a Grand Slam seed. There will likely be extended rallies, and Zarazua will undoubtedly pull off some spectacular defensive retrieves. However, over the course of 2 or 3 sets, Eala's relentless power, her improved serving, and her aggressive intent will prove too much to handle. Eala's ability to generate pace off a low-bouncing ball will continually rush Zarazua, breaking down her defensive wall. Prediction time. I am predicting that Eala will secure the victory in straight sets, though it will be a tightly contested affair. Look for a scoreline somewhere in the realm of 7-5, 6-3. Eala will weather an early storm from the Mexican veteran, find her range on the forehand side, and ultimately power her way through to the second round, officially setting up that dream blockbuster matchup against Serena Williams or Maya Joint. It will be a tremendous display of modern, aggressive grass court tennis from a rising star from the Philippines. And that brings us to the end of this incredibly deep dive into one of the most compelling first-round matches of this year's Wimbledon Championships. The beauty of tennis, especially on the grass courts of the All England Club, is that the sport is profoundly unpredictable. Despite all the tactical analysis, the historical data, and the surface advantages, matches are ultimately decided in real time under immense pressure by the thinnest of margins. Will the youthful, explosive power of Eala validate her newly minted status as a Grand Slam seed, or will the veteran resilience, the tactical craftiness, and the sheer willpower of Renata Zarazua orchestrate a massive opening round upset? We have laid out all the variables, the strengths, the weaknesses, and the massive stakes waiting in the second round. Now, the players must let their rackets do the talking. This match is a perfect encapsulation of why we love Grand Slam tennis. The collision of rising prodigies and hardened veterans, all competing on the most hallowed grounds in the sport. I want to hear from all of you. Do you agree with my prediction? Do you think Eala has the composure to handle the pressure of being a seed and the looming shadow of Serena Williams? Or do you believe Zarazua's defensive mastery and previous head-to-head victory will carry her through? Drop your thoughts, your score predictions, and your tactical takes in the comments section below. I will be reading through them and responding as we gear up for the first serve. If you enjoyed this comprehensive documentary-style breakdown, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our daily deep dives, live match analyses, and post-match reactions throughout the entire fortnight of Wimbledon. The greatest tournament in tennis is finally here, and we will be with you every single step of the way, analyzing every volley, every baseline winner, and every dramatic twist in the draw. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy the incredible tennis this week, and I will see you in the next video for our post-match breakdown. Take care and enjoy the championships.